The wise words by the fire. It happened one cool evening, just as the sun dipped behind the hills, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. I was sitting by the fire outside my home, roasting sweet potatoes. The smell filled the air, mixing with the sound of crickets and the distant laughter of children playing. That's when he came, my neighbor, Emmanuel. He was younger than me by a few years and had always been quiet. But tonight, he looked different, like he was carrying something heavy inside. "May I sit with you?" he asked. "Of course," I said, gesturing to the other side of the fire. For a while, we just sat there, watching the flames dance and crackle. Finally, he broke the silence. "Do you believe in God?" he asked, his voice low but steady. I turned to him, surprised. "I do," I said. "Why do you ask?" He sighed, poking at the fire with a stick. "Sometimes, I don't understand. If God is real, why do bad things happen? Why does life feel so hard?" His words hung in the air, heavy and real. I thought about what to say. I didn't want to preach at him or give answers that sounded too simple. Life wasn't simple. "Emmanuel," I began, "let me tell you a story." He nodded, curious. "There was once a farmer," I said, "who planted a field of beans. He worked hard, waking up early every morning to water and weed the field. But one night, a storm came. The wind was strong and the rain poured down, flooding the field. When the farmer went to check his crops the next day, many of them were ruined." Emmanuel listened quietly, his eyes fixed on the fire. "The farmer was heartbroken," I continued. He asked himself, why did this happen? After all my hard work, why would the storm come and destroy everything? But instead of giving up, he decided to replant. He took the seeds he had left and started again. And this time the rain came gently, and the sun shone brightly. The new crop grew even better than before. I paused, letting the story sink in. "Do you see?" I asked. The storm wasn't the end of the farmer's story. It was just a part of it. Life is like that. Bad things happen, storms come, but they don't last forever. God is like the farmer. He doesn't stop working even when things look ruined. He helps us grow again, stronger than before. Emmanuel frowned, thinking. But how do we know God is there, even during the storm? I smiled. It's like the wind. You can't see it, but you can feel it. You know it's there because it moves the trees and cools your skin. God is the same. You can't always see Him, but you can feel Him in the kindness of a neighbor, in the beauty of a sunrise, in the strength to keep going when you want to give up. He nodded slowly. I think I understand. But what about faith? How do you have faith when it's hard to believe? Faith is like planting seeds, I said. You can't see what's happening underground, but you trust that something is growing. It takes time and patience. Sometimes, you even have to wait through storms. But if you keep tending to it, praying, reading the Word, and trusting, your faith will grow. He looked at me, his eyes softer now. Do you really believe that? I do, I said. Because I've seen it in my own life. There were times I felt lost, like I was in the middle of a storm with no way out. But I prayed even when it was hard. I asked God to help me, to show me He was there. And every time, He did. Maybe not in the way I expected, but He did. Emmanuel smiled, a small but genuine smile. Thank you, he said. I think I needed to hear that. You're welcome, I said. And remember, you're not alone. If you ever feel like the storm is too much to come find me, we'll pray together. He nodded, and we sat there a little longer, watching the fire burn low. That night, I didn't just share the word of God. I shared hope, and sometimes, that's the most powerful thing we can give.